and local flavors. Pack your bags and take off from San Francisco International Airport. SFO, your adventure awaits.
All members of Dub Nation know 2 essential truths. 1, the Warriors have the best point guard in the history of the game. And 2, the very best planes in the sky are United. New planes are joining the United fleet every week, decked out with Bluetooth connectivity, screens, and power at every seat, and bigger overhead bins to fit everyone's carry-on, or giant foam fingers. Download the United app and book your next trip today. United Airlines, proud to be the official airline of the Golden State Warriors.
What's up, Dub Nation? Do you want to get cash back on Warriors gear? All you have to do is sign up at Rakuten.com/Warriors, where you can earn 10% cash back in store and online at Warriors Shop. Once you're a member, shop your favorite stores like Fanatics and Ticketmaster and watch the cash back add up in your account. Rakuten is the most rewarding way for you to shop and maximize your savings. Join Rakuten for free today at Rakuten.com/Warriors or download the Rakuten app. That's RAKUTEN.
The lights, the crowd, the moment. When the Warriors take the floor, greatness follows. At Cache Creek Casino Resort, every moment shines. Feel the rush as the reels spin. Breathe in our serene spa. Savor each bite in our award-winning steakhouse. And recharge in the comfort of our luxurious hotel. Cache Creek Casino Resort, proud partner of your Golden State Warriors. Please play responsibly.
Thanks for showing up, Dub Nation. Nothing beats catching your Warriors live, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back. As the official ticket marketplace of the Warriors and the NBA, even if you're headed to the game last minute, Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can experience all the sights, sounds, and styles in person. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Warriors tickets today at Ticketmaster. Get tickets at Ticketmaster.com/Warriors. See you courtside again soon, Dub Nation.
Before you begin your road trip, ask yourself, do you really need 5 full suitcases? With the 2026 Kia Sportage X Pro's class-leading cargo space, you'll have room for what you need. Find out more at your local Kia dealer today. Keep the adventure going. Kia, movement that inspires.
Call 800-3334-KIA for details. Always drive safely and obey all traffic laws. Comparisons based on second row legroom and cargo space behind second row seats in the subcompact SUV class according to Kia segmentation as of October 2025.
1 in 8 women have thyroid issues.
Am I the one? I am kind of tired. I should see a doctor. Is it genetic? Does my health plan even cover tests like that? In-network? Out-network? Why is this always a whole big thing? Wait. I have Kaiser Permanente. So my coverage includes regular preventive care. Guess it doesn't have to be a whole big thing.
Kaiser Permanente. Healthcare that just works.
The Curry pump fake, flyby, 3-ball. Got it with the buzzer sounding!
You've been listening to Golden State Warriors basketball on the Warriors Radio Network. Presented by United Airlines. For tickets, visit Warriors.com or call 888-GSW-WHO.
Don't you wish you were here?
This Odyssey Sports broadcast has been brought to you by Geico. Switch and save. Get more with Geico.
The Warriors just couldn't get it done. And they lose the back-to-back. And after a win in Houston, a road trip that looked really good, that maybe the Warriors could go 3-1 in a 4-game set counting this home game. It ends up they go 1-3. Post-game show to follow. Golden State losing in overtime to the Bulls with your final score, Chicago 130 at Golden State 124.
And you could just hear it in Tim Roy's voice there, the voice of the Dubs, dejected, disappointed by this Warriors loss, and that's the only way that you can feel if you're a Warrior fan. The Bulls win in overtime, 130-124, but it wasn't just any other run-of-the-mill overtime loss. The Warriors let this one slip through their fingers. They led by 8 points with 90 seconds left in regulation. 90, a minute 30 left in regulation. They led by 8. and they found a way to let this game get to overtime, and they ultimately lose 130-124. Welcome in. This is Warriors Wrap-Up here on 95.7 The Game. I'm Mark Randy, coming to you live from Chase Center as we try to pick apart what was another loss for the Warriors against a team that is trying to tank, not trying to win basketball games. The Bulls not quite as aggressively as the Utah Jazz last night, but regardless, doesn't make this a good loss. This is a game you had to win. Frankly, both these last two games are games like you felt like you had to win, and the Warriors lost both of them. You look over the landscape of the entire NBA. And before I even get into this, I want to welcome everybody in, and I want to make sure I give out the phone number because I want to hear from you guys, Warrior fans. I know it's a later start than usual because this game went to overtime, so if you're hanging with us here at 10:30 when we begin, first of all, I appreciate you tuning in, but this show is for you guys, and we're here to get over our frustrations together. So give me a call, 888-957-9570. That is also the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line. I can see the text line is already getting going. Shout out to the 510, to the 707, to the 925, another 510, keeping the text line moving. We've also got the YouTube chat, as always, youtube.com/957 The Game. I see you, G4M. I see you, Chico. I see you, Empire. I see you, Moko Coco. I see you, Sadie, and a few others. Keep the comments coming on the YouTube chat as well. youtube.com/957 The Game. You look over the landscape of the entire NBA, and you try to find a back-to-back, and I'm talking about consecutive nights against different teams, for a team that is in a similar position to the Warriors, which is playing really meaningful basketball right now. Maybe you are of the belief that the Warriors aren't going to be able to do much in the postseason, and that very well could be the case. In fact, that is probably relatively likely. Depends how you define all that much, but they have the ability, and it's not that far-fetched, to be in a postseason series, right? That, to me, qualifies as you're playing really meaningful basketball right now. You're not going to convince me the Warriors are not playing meaningful basketball right now. It might not be very good basketball, and it might not be very inspiring basketball, and it might not be the most fun basketball to watch, but they're playing meaningful basketball right now. And they have, within their own power, the opportunity to get to a postseason series. So the point I'm trying to make is the Warriors, despite all of their issues and despite how ugly it was at times tonight, they're playing meaningful basketball. I challenge you to find a back-to-back night performance that is, uglier, that is worse, that is more worrisome or troublesome or hard to swallow than the back-to-back performance the Warriors just put out there. You lose in Utah to the tanking Jazz. They just won their 20th game of the season against you. Yeah, you're injured and you're not anywhere near full strength. I get that. But again, you're a team that is trying to win. You're desperately trying to win. The Jazz are not. The Jazz, frankly, are probably the one team in the NBA that we can actively and be accurate when we say they're really, really, really trying to lose. They're the team that got fined for benching their star players in fourth quarters. And then when the NBA fined them, they responded by saying, you know what? We're going to give Jaren Jackson Jr. this knee surgery, and we're going to rule him out for the rest of the season. Now, maybe it was a coincidence, and he actually did need that knee surgery, and it was season-ending. But I don't really tend to buy it given the history that Utah has provided with us of late. That's a team that's not trying to win basketball games. The Bulls aren't anywhere near as egregious at that in terms of tanking. What they did was trade away a lot of their good players at the trade deadline, got back some injured pieces, and are perfectly fine with them not playing because they are, okay with losing basketball games. They're okay with losing games to the point that in the month of February, they played 11 games. 11 games in February. They lost all of them. They went 0 for the month of February. That gives you an idea of what the Chicago Bulls team is. And what the Warriors did, I know down Steph, I know down Jimmy, no Porzingis last night, no Al Horford last night, no Melton tonight, no Seth Curry tonight, no Moses for both games, no Will Richard yesterday. I know the injury report. I know what the reality is for this Warriors squad given all the injuries. I know that. But again, this is a Warrior team that's trying to win. And back-to-back nights, losses to the Jazz and to the Bulls, I challenge you to find a worse back-to-back performance in the NBA than this. I don't know if there's one out there. Again, I'm talking from the perspective of a team that is actually playing meaningful basketball right now and trying to win basketball games. There's performances probably by the Utah Jazz that would leave you being like, oh my God, is this even a basketball team? There's performances probably by the Washington Wizards that would leave you thinking the same thing. The New Orleans Pelicans, right? Like, those are not teams that are on the Warriors level in terms of the kind of basketball they're trying to play and their goals for the season. This is really, really bad for the Warriors. And we're going to talk about everything that happened in this game. And we're going to break down what went wrong, and we're going to talk about who was closing for the Warriors tonight. Basically, the important thing to note there, it was not Draymond and it was not Podziemski. There was some offense-defense substitutions down the stretch, specifically for the foul game. But the Warriors did not close with Draymond. They did not close with Podziemski, which I think is something the fan base had been calling for a while, despite the fact that I think they had been playing pretty good basketball the last handful of games. That wasn't the case tonight for either of them. And Steve Kerr, I think, reacted in kind and leaned into the group that brought the Warriors back in the second half, which was Pat Spencer and LJ Cryer and Will Richard and GP2, who was awesome in this game, and Al Horford and a couple of others that were kind of mixed in there. But I just think in general it's hard to look past what this might mean because the Warriors don't have a ton more of games that you would maybe call gimmies left on the schedule, and now the Warriors are under 500. They're 32-33 because of these two losses to the Jazz and to the Bulls, and any equity they may have bought with you, with me, with any Warrior fans after what happened in Houston when they beat the Rockets in overtime, and then when they they hung really tough with the defending champions OKC on Saturday. It's all gone now because you cannot survive given the position the Warriors are in if you lose games to these kinds of teams. And that's what the Warriors have done. Again, a loss last night in Utah, a loss tonight to Chicago. And part of what happened tonight, I guarantee you, if you got an honest answer from anybody of the Warriors, they'd say, well, the back-to-back kind of wore us out. And that's also kind of the reality for a veteran team. Although you look at what this Warrior team is right now and the guys that they're relying on more than anybody else, yeah, they've got veterans, specifically Draymond and Al Horford, and those guys playing really meaningful minutes, right? Al played 34 minutes tonight. That's what happens when you get to OT and you have 5 extra minutes to play. But when you're talking about a Warrior team that isn't with Steph and isn't with Jimmy right now, the veteran status of this Warrior team isn't quite as apparent. Yeah, again, it's Draymond and it's Al, and off the bench it's GP2, right? But it's not like he's going to be playing 40 minutes every single night and you feel like he's going to be terribly winded. You got Porzingis, who's, of course, on a minutes restriction, and that maybe doesn't qualify in the veteran category, at least the really, really aging veteran category, but it does qualify in terms of guys that you can't play a ton of minutes. But a lot of the guys the Warriors are relying on tonight are guys like Guy Santos and Brandon Podziemski and Will Richard and LJ Cryer and Pat Spencer, right? And these are not veterans. So I get the back-to-back reason or excuse, if you want to call it that. It probably had a bit of an impact. Chicago looked like the faster team. They looked like the team that was not on the back-to-back. I think it was pretty apparent the Warriors looked kind of tired and they looked kind of slow. But that's not an excuse that anyone's going to accept when you lost last night. Had you won and you looked like the slower team tonight, okay, that's a little more understandable. But no, you can't do that off of a loss. And you want to know why? Because now the Warriors at 32-33, we already knew this after what happened last night because the Clippers also won. They were 32-32 with their win last night. The Warriors lost last night, pushed them to 32-32. you were officially deadlocked with the Clippers in the Western Conference standings, but because for the moment they have the head-to-head tiebreaker over you, they jumped you in the Western Conference standings for the 8th seed. Now it's not tiebreaker related. They just are ahead of you because you have one more loss because you lost tonight. You're 32-33. The Clippers stay 32-32, and they are a half game ahead of you in the Western Conference standings for the 8th seed. And as we kind of look at what that means for the Warriors going forward, again, if you're unfamiliar with the way the play-in tournament works, 7 and 8 play each other. That's right now Suns and Clippers. 9 and 10 play each other. That's Warriors and Blazers. The winner of the 7-8 game, again, Suns, Clippers, they become the 7 seed. The loser of that 7-8 game then plays the winner of the 9-10 game, which would be Warriors and Blazers, and the winner of that extra game there at the end becomes the 8 seed. So the difference between being the 8 and the 9 is the 8 has 2 shots to win 1 game to make the playoffs. The 9 has to win consecutive do-or-die games. That's how big of a difference the 8 versus the 9 is. And with these losses for the Warriors the last 2 nights, the 9, the probability of the Warriors being the 9 seed or at least not being the 8 seed jumped up like twofold. Like it was a gigantic shift in the way the Western Conference is likely going to play out. And it only becomes even more possible when you look at the schedules for these 2 teams left. For example, the Los Angeles Clippers, who are 32-32, they have Minnesota. Okay, that's a tough game. They've got a San Antonio game coming up. They've got another San Antonio game later in the year. They got OKC later. But beyond that, this is a Clipper team that has the Sacramento Kings 2 more times. They have the New Orleans Pelicans 2 more times. They have the Dallas Mavericks 2 more times. They have the Indiana Pacers once. They have Portland once. They have Portland twice. They have, I don't know if I said Dallas twice, but they have Dallas twice. This is a Clippers schedule that is very, very favorable in terms of their opponents. Meanwhile, the Warriors have Minnesota next on Friday, the Knicks on Sunday. They do have what they feel like is a game they should win in Washington on that road trip as well, but you never know after what we just witnessed the last 2 nights for the Warriors. That road trip also features the Celtics. It features the Pistons. It features the Hawks, which isn't a gimme anymore, and you know that Atlanta is going to be fired up to support their guy, Jonathan Kuminga, their new guy, Jonathan Kuminga, after what happened here in Golden State. You got Dallas, you got Brooklyn, you got Washington. Again, those are games that you feel like you could win, but you've got Denver on the road, you've got San Antonio, you've got Cleveland, you got Houston. The Warriors' schedule is far and away more difficult than the Clippers the rest of the way, and the Clippers now officially are alone in 8th. The Warriors are in 9th. Now you got to begin to worry if the Blazers might catch the Warriors for the 9 seed. The Blazers, I believe they played today and they lost, which is good news for the Warriors. The Blazers today, they took on Charlotte, and Charlotte is red hot right now, and Charlotte beat them 103-101 in Portland. So that was a big help for the Warriors in terms of avoiding falling all the way to the 10. But if we're going to rip our hair out about the Warriors being the 9 or the 10 seed, I just might recommend against that because 9 or 10, obviously, you'd rather be the 9 and you want to be able to host that 9-10 game, but the difference in being the 9 or the 10 in my mind isn't nearly as big as the difference in being the 8 or the 9. Because if you're the 9 or if you're the 10, you still have to win 2 games, 2 do-or-die games in order to go to the postseason. So we'll keep an eye, of course, on Portland the rest of the way, but tonight was not a good night for the Warriors. It was absolutely not a good one for the Warriors. They led by 8 points with 1:30 left in this game. And again, 888-957-9570 if you want to weigh in. Again, 888-957-9570. That is also the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line. Let's see, the 415 chiming in on that Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line. Even with lower expectations, that was a tough loss to watch. Then again, I think it's to be expected. At the end of the day, we just don't have the talent. I think there's plenty of blame to go around. And tonight, if fans want to point fingers at Draymond, Pods, Porzingis, or Kerr, that's fine. Personally, I do lay some blame on Draymond, but that doesn't capture the full picture. For example, I've seen some fans say that if we had LJ Cryer in at the end, we would have won. Cryer is a nice surprise, but I feel like fans always look for whoever didn't play key minutes as the answer to our problems. If we're looking at the 10th or the 11th man to win games, it's a roster issue. Cheers, Grandy. Ben in San Francisco. Good text, Ben. Obviously, when you lose a tight game, you're always going to be wondering about what ifs, and you're going to wonder, well, if this guy played more and that guy didn't, would that have been the difference in the basketball game? Bottom line is the Warriors made a number of mistakes that professional basketball players that should simply not make down the stretch, and that's how they lost this basketball game. So, first of all, this was a game of runs. It's kind of the way the Warriors play basketball. Tonight was just that, like, on steroids. But the way the Warriors are is... We've talked about this a lot. It was one of my pet peeves specifically last night against a really lackluster Utah defense, particularly inside, given how many injuries they have to their big guys. I was pleading with the Warriors to get to the rim more, to attack the paint more often. If you listened last night, you're probably tired of hearing me say that. The Warriors, that's just not who they are, at least not consistently. They are a three-point shooting team. They lead the NBA in three-point shot attempts, and they put up 54 today, which, considering that they played 5 extra minutes of overtime, I would have guessed that number would have been in the 60s. But that's still a ton of three-point attempts. And they got dominated points in the paint. 64 for the Bulls, 44 for the Warriors. The crazy thing is the Warriors actually shot pretty decent from downtown. They made 20 of their 54 from deep. So I don't think I have a ton to stand on in terms of being upset at the way the Warriors attacked offensively, because they made 23s. That's a pretty good amount. The Bulls made 15, but they put up 47 attempts. They were 32% from downtown. You were 37% from downtown. So you made 5 more on only 7 more attempts. The way for the Bulls to catch you on three-point attempts and match your percentage is to go 5 for their next 7. So the Warriors won the three-point battle, yet you still found a way to lose this basketball game. And you also won the turnover battle, which is crazy, and you found a way to lose this basketball game. And free throws, the Warriors actually won the free throw battle as well. 16 made free throws for the Warriors, 15 for the Bulls. So how the hell did they lose this basketball game? Well, it's in the biggest moments, just making some really rough mistakes. So the Warriors up by 8, right? A Pat Spencer 3, late shot clock, deep left wing 3 with a minute and a half left, gave the Warriors an 8-point lead. 115 to 107 Warriors, 130 left. And everybody inside of Chase Center, myself included, for at least a moment thinking, okay, exhale, phew, they won this game. It took a furious 19-2 fourth quarter run to get this done, but they're going to get it done. Up by 8 with 90 seconds left. Okay, exhale, this game's over, all right? Buzelis answers immediately with a 3. Buzelis was amazing in this game. He scored 41 points. We're going to talk more about Buzelis and specifically some of the mistakes the Warriors made defending him. But he answers immediately, so the lead goes right back down to 5 a couple of seconds later. Then the Warriors don't score, and Buzelis tries to shoot another 3, this time from the left wing. And what happens? Al Horford, who largely was awesome in this game, he was a volume scorer, but he did so much on both ends of the floor, fouled Buzelis shooting a 3. You're up by 5 with like a minute left. You just can't do that. It was more like 45 seconds left, but you can't do that. You cannot foul a 3-point shooter in a 2-possession game less than a minute left. He fouls him. They actually get lucky. He missed 1 of the 3. He makes 2 of 3, so it's now down to a 3-point game. Next Warriors possession. They try to inbound, or they tried an entry pass into Horford into the post. Horford stumbles, loses his balance, loses the ball. It's a turnover in kind of the chaos the other way after the turnover. Miller, if you know who Leonard Miller is, this kind of goes back to the Bulls not actively trying to win basketball games. They started a player named Leonard Miller today. That's all you need to know about the Chicago Bulls, right? Leonard Miller scores the other way after the Al Horford turnover. Now it's a 1-point game. the Warriors, after some timeouts and some inbound plays, bring L.J. Cryer in, or he was already in, but they get the ball to him, and the Bulls have no choice but to foul him because there's like 15 seconds left. He makes both free throws. Then the Warriors decided they're going to play the foul game the other way, and they foul Jalen Smith, the big man who's got a pretty decent stroke, and he makes both free throws. Back to a 1-point game, 9 seconds left. Then Cryer fouled again, misses the first, makes the second. You've got no timeouts left, 9 seconds left, Warriors up by 2. The Bulls have to go the length of the court. They get it into Giddey. He dribbles it up towards the left wing, throws a crazy skip pass over to Smith near the right wing, right corner, and Draymond, with his hand extended kind of onto Smith's hip as he catches it, kind of forces Smith's body weight to lean back, and he throws up a crazy deep two right as he catches that ball, probably thinking he was going to get the foul call. Got the foul call, missed the shot, had 2 free throws as a result, makes them both with just like a second left, and then Podziemski's three-quarter court heave is no good, and we go to overtime. Just count the number of mistakes that are in there by veteran Warrior players in that moment. Al Horford fouling a three-point shooter. Al Horford losing his balance and turning the ball over, unable to catch a pass into the post, and Draymond Green fouling a guy that he had covered really, really well, who was going to have to throw up a prayer to either tie the game or maybe, if he has enough time, to take a step back and make it a three-pointer to win the game. But you live and die with that guy shooting that shot, and you bet that you're going to have a good contest, and he's going to miss. And Draymond was in great position, just kind of got his hand stuck in the cookie jar. I think it was a relatively soft foul call, but he did have his hand like on the hip area of Smith as he caught it, and maybe there was a bit of a push. It probably sent Smith's body weight back on him a little bit and impacted the shot. And it doesn't matter if it's a shooting foul or not. The Bulls in the bonus, so it's 2 free throws no matter what. He makes them both, and the Warriors can't hold on to the 8-point lead with a minute and a half left. So I think to the 510's point on the text line, pardon me, it was the 415's point on the text line. Shout out to Ben in San Francisco. We can talk about, well, LJ should have been in earlier, or Podziemski shouldn't have played at all in the second half, or Draymond was terrible and he didn't play really at all in the fourth quarter until those offense-defense subs, and maybe you say, well, if you're going to go without him, you should do it really for the whole fourth quarter. Maybe someone else wouldn't have committed that foul. I mean, Draymond's their defensive identity. I don't have a problem with that. It's just unfortunate the way that it played out for Draymond specifically on that last possession defensively of regulation. But there's just too many key mistakes down the stretch, and made by veteran guys. Like, I'm not even going to count the L.J. Cryer missed free throw. He was 3 for 4 from the free throw line in clutch time. Like, I don't know what more to expect from a guy who's playing in his first real NBA minutes over the last handful of games. Do we forget that Podziemski went 0 for 4 in the fourth quarter from the free throw line last night, right? Like, that's way, way, way more egregious than L.J. Cryer. Like, I was walking behind a couple of media members on the way to the Steve Kerr presser postgame tonight, and I'm not gonna say who, because I frankly think it's pretty funny what these people were talking about. But they mentioned if L.J. Cryer just makes that one free throw, the Warriors win. He was 3 for 4 from the free throw line in clutch time. I think it's crazier that the Warriors feel like their best option, and they're probably right. L.J. Cryer's a hell of a shooter, but their best option to shoot those clutch free throws is L.J. Cryer. It's no offense to L.J. Cryer, but that's kind of a problem, right? That's kind of a problem. L.J. Cryer was awesome today. He was a lot of fun. He's honestly a lot of fun to watch. I don't know what he's ever going to be defensively at this level, but he can absolutely play offensively in the NBA. He's quick. He's got a good dribble. He's got a real nice step-back move. And he's got a really good shot, and he's got a pretty quick release. He can get it off under some pressure as well. So I'm a fan of L.J. Cryer on the offensive end. It is kind of crazy that we're at a point where in clutch time in the fourth quarter, the Warriors are trying to get the ball to L.J. Cryer for him to make free throws. It's kind of just the Warriors' reality. And again, I don't mean this to be a knock on L.J. Cryer. Not at all. It's just kind of crazy that that's where the Warriors are. But ultimately, the Warriors lose this one 130-124 in overtime, and they fall below 500 for the first time since late December. All right. 888-957-9570. Let's go out to the phone lines. Again, that's 888-957-9570. Steven is in San Francisco and wants to weigh in. What's up, Steven? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up. What do you got?
I was at the game tonight, and it blows that they lost. But I got to tell you, I had a great time at the game. It was exciting. Again, it blows that they lost, but I really enjoyed it. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
I appreciate that, Steven. I mean, to be fair, like in terms of entertainment value, if we forget the result or we forget maybe how frustrating it was for big stretches of this game, as a Warrior fan, it was an incredibly entertaining game. I mean, it had everything. This was a game of runs. There was a 24-8 Chicago run to end the first half. In that 24-8 run, it included a 17-0 Chicago run at one point. They also began the third quarter on a run, so that really more was an extended 29-7 run for the Chicago Bulls. The Warriors went on an 18-2 run in the third and a 19-2 run in the fourth. The Bulls answered one of those with a 21-7 run and then an 11-3 run to force overtime. So this game was back and forth. It felt like three different times Chase Center felt the game was over, and then three different times in a bad way, right? It felt like three different times Chase felt the Bulls were going to win, and Chase was really down, and it was out, and it felt like it was about to empty out, and then the Warriors answer back, and it was Porzingis taking over for a short stretch. Porzingis only put up 13 shots, scored 17 points. Wasn't incredibly efficient, but he kind of picked his spots and was aggressive and had a couple of big moments during a run. There was the Pat Spencer run in that fourth quarter. There was just turnover after turnover that Will Richard and GP2 were forcing. It felt like, so I'll take you kind of behind the curtain a little bit here. What I try to do specifically when you get into like those big moments, when it's a big run or it's the fourth quarter and it's clutch time and I'm trying to sit here and talk to you guys about what happened, I'm making notes about what's happening. So I'll admit there are times where, say, there was a great play and Guy Santos had this great moment in the second half where he had the ball short corner right side and he spun baseline past his guy for a baseline drive and a reverse layup. It got everybody out of their seat on the Warriors bench. Steph nearly ran onto the court. By the way, his knee is looking a little bit better if you're watching Steph on the sidelines. He's sitting down smoother. I can't believe I'm getting into analysis of how Steph is sitting on the bench. The knee does look healthier than it was the last time the Warriors are at home. We're at home, and we're going to get an update on Steph Curry's knee from the Warriors tomorrow, so we'll see ultimately what that has to say. But every time there's like a big moment or a big play like that or it's in the middle of a big run, I just jot down quick little details. So I'll be like, Gee, crazy baseline spin, reverse layup, now a 10-2 Dubs run. They go up by whatever the score was, right, or whatever the instance was. I'll just quickly jot that down to kind of jog my memory when I'm back here talking to you guys about what happened in the game. So oftentimes what will happen is as I'm writing that down real quick and I kind of have some shorthand for myself, I'll write that down, and if the game is moving quick enough, I might miss the beginning of the next play if the game's going quick. And what happened during that fourth quarter run for the Warriors on a 19-2 run that kind of turned the game from, the Warriors are going to lose, to, oh my God, they're going to win by double digits, kind of what it felt like. And what happened multiple times during that run was I'd be jotting down my shorthand about how the Warriors scored. It was a Porzingis laser three, or it was that Gee spinning reverse layup, or it was Pat Spencer going crazy, going on that MFer mode again. And then I'd write that down and I'd look up, and suddenly Will Richard has the ball after a steal, and GP2 is flying in for a dunk, and it happened 4 times in the span of 5 different minutes. It was incredible what happened. So, I'm glad that Steven brought that up because this was a really, really fun basketball game. I didn't listen to our broadcast here on 95.7 The Game because I'm in the arena and don't have a transistor radio to plug in and listen to. Not a bad idea, and it's great that Tom Tolbert back on the broadcast alongside Tim Roy tonight. Great to have Tom back. But Cam Williams, our network coordinator back in our studios, got in my ear and said that was the most entertaining, terrible terrible loss or something like that. Tom is great at summing these really tough moments up in phrases like that. Maybe one of the most entertaining, really bad, tough losses and tough experiences that maybe he's ever watched in the NBA. And I think that's a great way to put it, because it was entertaining, but it was a really, really tough pill for the Warriors to swallow. Because one, just in the moment of what happened tonight, you lead by 8 with 90 seconds left. You have to win that game 100% of the time, but you zoom out just a bit and you discuss this game, you take it into the context of what happened last night, what's been happening for the last month, what's happening to the Clippers in the standings, and it is hard to really accept anything other than, oh my God, the sky is falling, this is terrible. It was fun at times. It was also excruciatingly difficult to watch at times, but there were moments where it was a ton of fun. But ultimately, the Bulls come out on top 130-124. All right. I want to go back out to the phones, but we have to sneak in a quick phone call. I see you, Chardol, and I see you, Giants fan. I hope you're also a Warrior fan, Giants fan, but we'll get to you guys when we come back. This is Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you. Dubs lose 130-124 in overtime. They're now below 500 for the first time since late December. Below 500 for the first time since late December. It has been a really, really long time since the Warriors had been sub 500, but they are there once again, and they're now down to the 9 seed in the Western Conference. Okay, time for a break. Back with your calls, plus we'll hear from Steve Kerr next as we continue. Mark Randy with you live from Chase Center right here on Warriors Wrap-Up.
What's your financial future look like? At Pettinelli Financial Partners, we help you shape it. Whether you're planning for retirement, buying a home, or saving for something special, our professionals are here to provide clear guidance and smart strategies. Visit PettinelliFP.com today and take the first step toward a more secure financial future. The financial consultants at Pettinelli Financial Partners are registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratos Wealth Partners, a registered investment advisor. Stratos and Pettinelli are separate entities from LPL Financial.
That's the sound of James adding long-lasting Gain scent boosters to his laundry this morning. Several hours later, James sniffs the irresistible scent of Gain on his shirt. Gain. Several hours later, James has even caught the attention of his mother-in-law, and she never gives him attention.
Ooh, you smell amazing, James.
Oh, thanks, Mom. I love you too.
I never said that.
Add Gain scent boosters to your laundry. Add joy to your day.
All right, I need avocados, bananas, salad, steak.
Wow, does your grocery list have multiple pages?
No, but I skipped lunch, so now it's like my stomach is doing the grocery shopping. And besides, I'm earning cash back with Upside.
Upside? What's that?
Hold up, you haven't heard of it? Upside is a free app that gets you cash back when you shop at gas stations, grocery stores, and restaurants. And they added Lucky and Food Max stores, so we're pretty much covered wherever we go.
All those stores?
Yep, so not only are we getting a great deal on groceries, now we can earn cash back as well.
Okay, downloading Upside. Now let me copy your grocery list.
Great news! Lucky and Food Max are now on Upside. Download the Upside app and use the promo code SAVE9 to earn a 10% cashback bonus on your first grocery purchase. That's promo code SAVE9 for a 10% cashback bonus. Use promo code SAVE9.
Offers vary by user and location at participating merchants. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Neuropathy is a debilitating condition that is sometimes misdiagnosed. Symptoms can include pain, numbness, and tingling in your hands, legs, and feet. Neuropathy is a progressive condition that only worsens unless you get effective treatment. SF Bay Wellness is a leader in neuropathy reversal and uses FDA-cleared, non-invasive electric cell therapy to restore nerve function with no injections, no drugs, and no surgery. The treatments have a 95% success rate. If distance is a factor, ask about our virtual consultation option. Call SF Bay Wellness at 844-94-NERVE for the $99 neuropathy evaluation and receive a personal treatment plan that is tailored to your needs. Don't wait another day. Call 844-94-NERVE. That's 844-94-NERVE. Why keep suffering with the painful symptoms of neuropathy? You deserve to live a pain-free life. Start getting the treatment you need for your neuropathy symptoms. Call today.
High five! Up top! Dave's company just got the 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business. Yeah!
is 5 years of gig-speed internet, advanced security, and a great rate that won't change. All from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
Heck yeah!
He hasn't given this many high fives since Deborah brought in her famous banana bread.
Yes!
The Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee. Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities.
And it's hurting, but I am not stopping. Woo!
For a limited time, now through March 29th, switch to Comcast Business to lock in your rate for 5 years and get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying gig bundle. Or ask how to get started with 150 megabit internet and Security Edge for $59.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Don't wait. Call today. Restrictions apply. New customers only. 1-year contract required for guaranteed rate. Paperless billing and automatic payments with bank account required. 5-year pricing applies to monthly service charge excluding taxes and fees.
Hey, Jimbo. Why is your cubicle full of plastic coffee pods?
Well, I brew a lot of pods. How come yours isn't?
Because I brew San Francisco Bay Coffee's commercially compostable 1-cup coffee pods.
Commercially compostable?
Indeed. They're just like yours, but they're made from plant-based materials. So I'm helping to reduce plastic landfill waste.
Commercially compostable 1-cup coffee pods from San Francisco Bay Coffee. One small sip for a better tomorrow. 1-cup coffee pods can help reduce plastic waste in landfills when commercially composted. Commercial composting is available in limited areas and may not be available near you.
Come on. No. It's just a golf lesson, champ. Listen up. I can't. See that Hyundai Santa Fe? Yeah. I only paid to finish up on your own. I gotta run.
Deal's so right, it almost feels wrong. The Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Get 0% APR for 60 months, plus 0 payments for 90 days on the Hyundai Tucson, Tucson Hybrid, Santa Fe, or Santa Fe Hybrid. Now, during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Hurry. Offer ends March 31st. Call 562-314-4603 for details.
If you own a small business, the pressure never lets up. Something's always coming at you. That's why business owners turn to LendSeek for funding.
I don't need promises. I need options. LendSeek's AI platform showed me real funding choices. Now I can cover payroll, handle taxes, and go after growth opportunities without the daily stress.
Up to $5 million with funding in as fast as 24 hours. No upfront costs. No prepayment penalties. Start ready, stay ready. LendSeek.com. LendSeek.com.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station and the home of the Golden State Warriors and Valkyries. Always live on the free Odyssey app and now coming to you live from the Laughing Monk Studios.
Page to Spencer. Spencer left by the hash mark. Changes direction with a dribble. Rotates Porzingis. He stops. Spins it back out. Screen and roll. Spencer gets it to Porzingis. Foul line jumper. Good, and he got fouled. Payton's got it. Throw ahead to Santos. One-on-one. Santos brings it in. Throws it out to Porzingis. It's a 3-ball right side. Good! Another timeout for the Bulls. This place is rocking. It's a 12-0 run.
Now back to Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
And when it was good, it was real good tonight for the Warriors. They had an 18-2 run in the third. They had a 19-2 run in the fourth. It felt like during both of those runs, there was nothing that they could do wrong. During those runs, you saw greatness in spurts from Kristaps Porzingis. How good was GP2 in this game? It felt like he was rebounding every missed Warrior shot for a putback dunk. How many steals did he and Will Richard combine for? There was one as well where it was actually Pat Spencer with the steal, and then he had the no-look behind-the-head pass, just dropped it off to GP2 for the dunk. There was some awesome moments in this game, and obviously the Porzingis-like moments, and you heard one of them coming back from break, the voice of the Dubs, Tim Roy, calling the action. Those Porzingis highlights kind of, I think, hit a little different for the Chase Center crowd right now, because Porzingis is one of the few things where you're like, all right, if he stays healthy, maybe he can help turn this thing around, and you get Steph back, and we're going to get an update on Steph tomorrow from the Warriors. We shall see how it all plays out, but there were some moments where it was awesome, but largely the Warriors got outplayed in this basketball game, and they lose to the Bulls 130-124. Look, the Bulls are a bad basketball team. It's just as simple as that. They went 0-4 the month of February. They played 11 games in February and lost all of them. 0-11 in February. They just lost to the Kings on Sunday by 16 points. You know how hard it is to lose to the Kings by 16 points? Yes, the team that just lost to the Sacramento Kings, the team that is by far and away going to have the worst record in the NBA, they beat this team that just beat the Warriors tonight. That's how dire tonight was for the Warriors. The Bulls are not a good basketball team. They're not anywhere near as good as their record suggests. They're 27-38. They began the season 23-22. Before tonight, they were 3-16 in their last 19 games. They're now 4-16 in their last 20. Not a good basketball team. And the Warriors on the back end of a back-to-back, I know not the easiest thing to do, specifically a back-to-back where there's a plane flight involved, and this is your third game in 4 nights, and it's in 3 different in 3 different cities, Oklahoma City, then Utah, and now Chicago. Like, it's not an easy thing. But the Warriors, given what this season has been, given what last night was, they haven't earned the benefit of the doubt. So I'm not going to give it to them. Tonight was... I don't know if tonight was the worst loss of the season. It feels like it, considering what last night was. This feels like the 2 worst nights of the season combined. If we look at the Warriors season in 2-game or 2-night increments, this feels like the worst 2-night increment of the Warriors season. You lose to the tanking Jazz and you lose to the tanking Bulls on back-to-back nights. To fall below 500 and to fall from the 8th seed to the 9th seed as the Clippers won yesterday, and they're now a half game ahead of you, clear you, and they are officially alone in 8th in the Western Conference. So not really a positive way to spin this. There was some individual nice moments that we can talk about, but that pales in comparison to what happened on the basketball court, and the Warriors lose in overtime 130-124. They blew an 8-point lead with 90 seconds left. That's really hard to do. An 8-point lead with 90 seconds left. You have to make terrible mistakes in order for that to happen, and it happened. Al Horford fouling a 3-point shooter. Al Horford being unable to catch a simple entry pass, and then Draymond Green fouling Smith with the second left on the catch, resulting in a couple of free throws. And I'm going to go to the phones in just a second. 888-957-9570. The 510 chiming in on the Boxer and Gerson work injury attorney's text line on that Draymond foul. And just to set the stage for you, after L.J. Cryer splits a pair of free throws, he had just made 2 on the previous possession. It was a 2-point Warrior lead with 9 seconds left. The Bulls give it to Giddey, who's their go-to guy, although tonight it was Buzelis who was their go-to guy, a career-high 41 points. They give it to Giddey, who had a triple-double in this game, 21, 13, and 17 in this one tonight. They give it to him. He dribbles across half court, dribbles towards the left wing. I don't know if this was a set play by Chicago, or maybe Giddey just saw something he liked. He then leapt and threw a cross-court pass towards the right corner for, the 7-footer Jalen Smith, who makes a leaping catch over Draymond. As he's leaping to catch it, Draymond has his hand on Smith's hip area, and there's probably a little bit of a push there. And Smith, as a result, his momentum takes him, towards out of bounds, and he throws up a shot as he's kind of falling backwards. His momentum was already taking him that way, but the Draymond little bit of a push certainly shoved him that way even more, and he throws up the ball. It misses. It might have been a put-back dunk. I know it was, but the whistles blew, and the Warriors stopped playing. It might not have played out that way if there was no foul called, but they call a foul, and Smith makes both free throws, and we go to overtime. And we have the 510 chiming in on that on the text line. The 510 writes, I was at the game. Draymond didn't commit a soft foul. He intentionally fouled thinking they were still up by 3. It was soft. If it was soft, he would have been complaining about it. The whole arena knew this blunder. I know. It was not an intentional foul where Draymond did not know what the score was. I guarantee you it was not that. Draymond just knew he fouled him. He put his hand on his hip and gave him a little bit of a push. It's a foul, and Draymond knows it's a foul. Now, Draymond still can complain even when he knows it's a foul. It's kind of what he does, specifically in moments like that. I was a little surprised to not see him complain, but no, Draymond did not forget what the score was. He just committed a foul, and I think he knew that he got his hands caught in the cookie jar. Steve Kerr said it postgame, and we're going to hear from Steve Kerr coming up in a little bit as well. That was just a mistake. Just a mistake by Draymond, plain and simple. And I don't think he spoke at the podium tonight. I don't know if he was available in the locker room. I'm not able to go to those because I got to hop on the radio with you guys. But I guarantee you if he's asked, he would cop up that he just made a mistake. It's as simple as that. And the mistake was not about forgetting what the score was. The mistake was just committing a foul when you didn't need to in that situation. Got his hand stuck in the cookie jar. 888-957-9570. Let's go to Chardol in Fremont, who wants to weigh in next. What's up, Chardol? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up.
Andy, I'm a big fan of your YouTube channel. I tune into 9.7 game after every game. This is a tough loss. Warriors suffer a 130-124 loss in the hands of the Chicago Bulls. I think that they should have gone this win against an absolutely dismal Bulls team. I mean, this Bulls team should not even been in the game in the first place. I mean, they're just awful to start off with. I mean, they're just like they're 12th place in the standings. But it was great calling the Warriors wrap up. Hope you have a good rest of your night. Hope you and I want you to get some more of your callers.
Thank you, Chardol. I appreciate that, and always love hearing from you. I'm glad that you were able to keep your emotions under control this time, Chardol. I figured with tonight's loss, it might be a little more of an emotional one from you, but I appreciate the call as always, and I'm just joking around, Chardol. But yeah, I mean, this is a game that the Warriors have to win. I do want to address something that I'm seeing quite often on both the YouTube chat and on the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line. Let's see, where did it go? JASH Josh Fath, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, wrote, I hope Dubs get 11 so Curry wastes 0 games on this bleep season. I believe what that is supposed to mean is I hope the Warriors get the 11 seed so Steph doesn't have to play and risk anything for a team that maybe doesn't deserve it is the point there. I hate to burst your bubble. There is 0 chance the Warriors fall to 11. You know how many games they're ahead of the Memphis Grizzlies, who are currently the 11 seed right now in the Western Conference? The Warriors are a full 9.5 games ahead of the Memphis Grizzlies. Actually, pardon me, I did my math wrong. 8.5 games ahead of the Memphis Grizzlies. Point still stands. The Warriors are not falling out of the play-in tournament. So no matter how you slice it, the Warriors could go winless the rest of the regular season. They will be the 10 seed at worst. They will be playing in the play-in, and Steph Curry, as long as he's healthy, is not going to refuse playing in a play-in game with the opportunity to earn a postseason series. So I hate to burst your bubble. I don't take any joy in it, but it's just not going to happen. It's mathematically possible, but in terms of the reality of the way the NBA works, it is not possible. It is not going to happen. The Warriors will at worst be the 10 seed. They will play in a play-in game, and if Steph has any chance to play in that, he's going to play in it because that's how Steph goes. That's just the way Steph is. And I saw Steph on the sideline, on the bench tonight. He does seem to be moving better, which is good news. You would hope so, considering he hasn't played in like 5 weeks now. Almost more than that, really. It was January 30th when he last played. So we're talking about a little more than 5 weeks since he last played. You would hope that he's moving better by now, and he is. But he's going to come back, whether or not the Warriors are on a 10-game losing streak or a 10-game winning streak. And he's going to try to push to get into a postseason series. I don't know if I'll put it this way. I feel pretty confident that Steph isn't expecting or hoping for a championship run this season, but Steph sees the value in going to the postseason because Steph's a crazy competitor, and he wants a lot of these young players on this roster to get postseason experience. So that's still valuable to him. If that's still valuable to him, and I know that it is, then no matter what the situation is, Steph's going to come out and try to gun for the best spot in the play-in and then try to gun for a postseason series, because that's just the way that he's wired. 888-957-9570 if you want to weigh in. Let's go to Steve Kerr, Cam, if we could cue that up. Warriors head coach Steve Kerr addressed the media after his team's loss, 130-124 the final. The Dubs led by 8 with a minute and a half left in regulation, and they found a way to let this one sneak to overtime, and then they lost in overtime. They got outscored 12-6 in OT. I got to talk still about Buzelis and what the Warriors did defensively, because, man, it was bad at times tonight. We can get into that. But first, let's hear from Steve Kerr, who, again, addressed the media postgame tonight. Here he is, the coach of the Dubs, after tonight's loss.
Steve, just what do you make of the last, 90 seconds of regulation? What went wrong in your eyes?
Well, we had a turnover, and then we were playing the foul game up 3, and handled the situation pretty well. We just couldn't close it out, and obviously they got the 2 free throws with 1 second left, and were able to send it to overtime, and then they were the better team in OT.
I know the foul up 3 thing is always tough. Did you want it that fast, though, to leave that much time on the clock?
Yeah, because it's hard to foul up 3, because you want to do it when you know they're not shooting. And so if you want to say, all right, well, let's wait. Instead of fouling at 8, let's foul at 5, and the guy takes a dribble and pulls up and hits a 3, you're like, well, why the hell didn't we just foul at 8? So we were going to foul on catch, on pass. We wanted to make sure they didn't get a 3 up, and we handled that part fine,
What sort of happened in OT? Were the Bulls just kind of like making their shots, or
say it again?
What sort of going on in overtime that the Bulls were able to pull away?
Well, they got off to the quick start, getting the 4 points, and then Gary was, tying his shoe, so it was 4 on 5, and I took the timeout. And we were trying to get Draymond and Al a couple of minutes rest to start overtime, and so we started Gary and KP, but that first minute and a half didn't feel great, and so we made the sub. Draymond made an immediate 3, and I thought all in all it was we were getting good looks. Al had a couple of good looks from the corner. But shots didn't go down. We didn't score. We only scored 6 points in 5 minutes.
What do you make of Kristaps' game? He looked a little bit more comfortable out there.
Yeah, it's great to have him. I mean, you just feel his presence, and you see how, easily he scores, and he had 4 blocked shots, and so it's really, really great to have him back.
Steve, the foul Draymond committed there with 2 seconds ago. What
Say it again?
Draymond's late foul in regulation at the end. What happened there?
He just got his hand on his body. It was a foul. I watched the replay, and I'm sure he'd like to have that one back. He just got his hand in the wrong spot, and it would have been a tough shot, and Smith would have had to hit. It was a 2 also. It wasn't a 3, so it would have been for a tie. And Dre knows he just needed a challenge. He was in a tough spot. He didn't play the whole fourth quarter, and and then I throw him out there for a couple of defensive possessions because I know how good he is on that end, but he wasn't exactly loose and in the flow, and I'm sure that didn't help matters.
Bigger picture, I mean, you guys obviously grabbed such a sort of inspiring win in Houston, play pretty well in Oklahoma City. How do you view the last 2 nights? I mean, they're games that I think a lot of people are probably surprised you lost both.
Both very winnable games. Had the lead late tonight. Obviously, one we should have had, but this is how the NBA is. Especially when you're beaten up, you're not going to blow anybody out. Games are going to be tight. You got to finish, and we didn't finish either of the last 2 nights.
Steve, first quarter, Kristaps had 3 straight possessions, 3 mismatch. What has a variety of mismatches done for you guys as far as unlocking the offense, whether it's as a passer or as a scorer?
Well, he's a guy who can catch with a live dribble and get his shot off, pretty easily. And he's a great shooter. So he gives us, an isolation threat at a time when, we don't have Jimmy and Steph. And so between Al and Kristaps, I really feel like we're able to gain some advantages offensively to draw help and move the ball and get open looks.
Steve, so our bench gave the team a big lift while some of the starters struggle tonight. So how do you evaluate the overall balance of rotation in the coming games?
Yeah, I think the tricky part when you're banged up and you have a lot of injuries is every single game is different. So when you're healthy, you kind of know who your 4 or 5 guys are who are going to close the game. Right now, it could be any 5. You saw it tonight. BP and Draymond are, 2 of our best players, and neither guy was on the floor down the stretch till the very end for defensive purposes. So we just have to mix and match and find the right combinations for that night. I thought Pat Spencer came in and was just phenomenal, gave us a huge lift, and, plus 18 on the night. And so you stay with him, and that means tonight's closing lineup was different from last games and the games before, and that's how it is. So everyone has to adapt to that.
Steve, when we talked to you before the game, D'Anthony was questionable. He said last night he was excited to play first time back-to-back. What happened in between last night?
He had a little hamstring tweak or groin tweak. I'm not sure which one. Very end of the game, just a little bit, and it acted up on him overnight, and so we held him out to be safe.
And Steve, I don't know, did you see what Bam Adebayo did tonight? What did you think of guy scoring 83 points in the NBA?
It was okay.
It was okay?
How many times has that happened?
I think it's second most in NBA history.
Second most after Wilt. Pretty impressive.
Steve, I was going to ask you about Bam as well, just given that you coached him last year, year and a half ago in the Olympics. Any connection with him because of that, or to see that, is it any different because you obviously have that bond with him, I guess?
He's one of the best guys to coach on that team. Just an incredible person, teammate, collaborator. Just a phenomenal guy, and I'm really happy for him, but I'd be happier for him if we had won tonight. I know you understand. Thanks.
All right, that's Steve Kerr post-game after the Warriors fall to the Bulls, final 130-124. Welcome back. This is Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you live from Chase Center, taking your calls and your texts at 888-957-9570. There is one specific text that I want to get to before we go any further from the 707. Shout out to the 707. Say it backwards. The 707 writes, Grandy, I had to hang up, but I was the caller on hold. Giants fan. 2 quick things, writes the 707. After the 2 Cryer makes, made it a 3-point Warrior lead with 9.6 seconds left, what the hell was the no-3 strategy execution? Gee literally let 6/10 pass. Don't you have to let a second or 2 run at minimum? And on the Draymond foul, did you realize if they don't call a foul, Nick Richards makes a putback dunk, that would have tied the game regardless? Good questions and good observations, 707. I think you might have gotten your answer from Steve Kerr on that first part about the no-3 execution. If you missed it, I'll kind of give you the Cliff's Notes of what Steve Kerr said. So Cryer makes the free throws. Let me go back and find the play-by-play. I don't remember off the top of my head. I would imagine that there was a timeout after those Cryer free throws. That kind of changes it a little bit. So Cryer makes both free throws, and the Warriors go up 117-114, yes, and then Chicago calls timeout, as I expected. So they call a timeout, which means they get to inbound the ball, in the front court. They don't have to go the length of the court. Obviously, if they inbound under their own basket and they have to dribble it across half court, realistically, before they shoot, you can let a number of seconds tick off before you make the intentional foul. But because they're inbounding it already on their side of the floor, you don't have that cushion to make a foul without really being all that concerned. The issue is, and the Warriors haven't been the greatest at executing this. I remember instances last year against OKC, or maybe it was now 2 years ago against OKC, It was Chet Holmgren both times, and considering that he was injured for a number of games, it might have been 2 years ago. I'm getting all my years mixed up. It was against OKC. I remember it was Chet Holmgren, and it happened in the same season. Warriors up 3 against OKC. In fact, no, I feel pretty confident it was 2 years ago because I don't think the Warriors were in position to beat OKC twice last year, considering how good they were. It was probably 2 years ago, but you can correct me on the text line if I'm wrong. There were 2 situations. One was in OKC and one was here at Chase Center where the Warriors were up 3 in a similar position, final like 15 seconds or so, against OKC. And on one of those instances, the Warriors didn't foul Chet Holmgren, and he made a 3 to tie and force overtime, and the Warriors ultimately lost. And on the second occasion, they fouled him, and their plan was clearly to foul him, but they fouled him late. And as they fouled him, he began the upward shooting motion, and he got 3 free throws, and he made them, and it went to overtime, and the Warriors lost. So the Warriors have a history of not executing this to perfection. Now, the way that our brains work is we remember the mess-ups more than when just nothing all that intriguing happened. So there's probably way more examples of the Warriors executing it well than what we remember. But the way that Steve Kerr explained it, and it is true to an extent, is the longer you wait, the more risk you have of fouling somebody in the act of shooting. And that is the one thing, of course, that you want to avoid more than anything else. You're up by 3 in the final number of seconds. You don't want to foul someone shooting a 3-point shot. So the safer strategy is to foul earlier as opposed to waiting. There probably is a sweet spot where you could let maybe a second or a second and a half or 2 seconds tick off. Regardless, there's still going to be enough time left where the foul game is going to continue. The bottom line is, if you are playing the game where you are going to make them shoot the 2 free throws to avoid them getting a shot at a game-tying 3, you have to have the utmost confidence that you can outshoot them from the free throw line. And not to say that L.J. Cryer is a bad free throw shooter. I'm not saying that at all. But it was clear the Warriors wanted to get the ball to L.J. Cryer. And if that's where you're going to, a two-way guy who's playing in his first, 4 or 5 games in the NBA, if that's your free throw shooter, you better have a ton of confidence that in the clutch, this young, experienced, vanilla guy, nothing against LJ, that's just all factual about him, you better have the utmost confidence that he's going to be able to outshoot the players that you're fouling on Chicago on the other end. Because if you are playing the foul game and you're specifically going to do it without letting a lot of time come off the clock, you know you're going to play an extended free throw game. And if you know you're going to play an extended free throw game, you better believe that L.J. Cryer can outshoot whoever it is you're fouling on the other end. And what happened down the stretch? L.J. Cryer made 3 out of 4 free throws, and then it was Jalen Smith, I believe, was he the one who made all 4 free throws for the Bulls down the stretch? Smith made 2 of 2, and Smith made 2 of 2. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So they went 4 for 4, and you went 3 for 4. I don't blame L.J. Cryer. It's just kind of the bet the Warriors make, and they lost the bet. Now, in that particular instance, I don't think that, another second coming off the clock would have made that much of a difference in the long run, ultimately, in my opinion, because if there's 8 seconds left for the Bulls, go the length of the court as opposed to 9. That doesn't make that big of a difference in my opinion. But there is probably a sweet spot where they could have made more time come off the clock. But the risk is maybe you foul a 3-point shooter, and instead of losing in overtime, you might lose in regulation. So I don't know. It is kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't at times, I suppose. But you probably could have gotten a little bit more time off the clock. And then the 707 followed up and asked, on the Draymond foul, did you realize if they don't call the foul, Nick Richards had a putback dunk? Yeah, on the replay, Nick Richards had the putback dunk. I was so busy reacting to the foul, I don't I'd have to go back and watch. I think there's probably a chance that everyone heard the whistle blow and stopped. Maybe there's a way they get to Nick Richards or they don't make it an easy, uncontested putback dunk if the whistle doesn't blow. And maybe that kind of kept the Warriors from reacting to the shot and to the play. But there is a possibility that the air ball results in an easy putback for the opposition. And that's for the offense. And that's absolutely possible. You might be right, 707. A couple other things. I wanted to point out that while Steve Kerr was airing, I saw that came in on the YouTube chat, youtube.com/957. The game star player 30. First of all, thanks for joining the YouTube chat. I don't think I've seen your comments in here before. Appreciate you joining in. Star player 30 asked multiple times, where is QP? No QP. Where is QP? Why is QP out of the rotation? His defense is better than Green. Star player, Quentin Post was not available today. He was out with an injury. Quentin Post, bilateral foot soreness, was out. So that's why no Quentin Post today. That was not a Steve Kerr rotation decision. And then one other one I wanted to make sure I mentioned. Let's see here. I forget where it went. The Empire, and I see Empire in here a lot. I appreciate you always hanging out, Empire. Empire said... he was talking about the media asking Steve Kerr questions. Empire wrote, they need to ask what is the reason for Kristaps Porzingis' minutes restriction because he isn't injured. He's just trying to get back into basketball shape. You can see it when you watch him on the floor. He's winded after like 5-minute bursts. You saw it specifically in OKC. My God, in OKC, it felt like he was struggling to get up the court defensively after he would play for 4 or 5 minutes at a time. He's just simply not in basketball shape yet. He did talk post-game. We don't have the audio because it was in the Warriors locker room, and the audio is not the best quality. But he did talk about that post-game, and he said that he is feeling a little bit better. Let's see if I can go and find that answer for you specifically. I'm going to have to scroll a bit to go and find it. I can't remember who I saw tweet about it, but he was talking about how he feels like he's getting there, but it's not quite there in his legs just yet. He just doesn't have it in him to play more than like 22, 23 minutes or so. And here it is. Kristaps Porzingis postgame said his wind is building, but it's still a work in progress. Quote, definitely better today. Still feel like my legs are not great. I would make some other decisions if I felt like my legs were there. And he's talking about like on-court decisions, what he would do in certain spots, as opposed to decisions to play more minutes. But he's only playing as many minutes as he did tonight, which was 20 minutes and 13 seconds. Because he's not in basketball shape right now, not in good enough shape to play 25 minutes or 30 minutes. He'll get there. At least you'd hope he'd get there. If he stays healthy, he will get there. But he's just not there yet. Josh Fath on YouTube wrote, KP looks gassed off. That makes sense though. Yeah, it makes sense. He's played tonight. Was his third game in what? It's something like 62 days. His third game in 62 days, and it's his second in the last 4 days. So he's working his way to that, but he's not there yet. And that is also the reality for the Warriors. It is you're at a spot where it's go time, and you have to kind of stack some dubs in order to avoid falling to the 9 as they currently have, but to avoid the 9 once the season is over. And you're at a spot where, 1, your best player is injured in Steph Curry, and 2, maybe when everybody's healthy, your second best player in Porzingis is at a minutes restriction, and maybe your best player for the last month, Al Horford, can't play in back-to-backs, and the Warriors' plan for De'Anthony Melton was to play in back-to-backs, so they held his minutes down last night. It might have cost you last night's game, only for him to not be able to play today, and you lose today too. So the Warriors are kind of balancing a number of different things, and right now it's not going their way. And the Warriors lost tonight 130 to 124. Yeah, I mean, again, I led off the show tonight by saying this. I don't know if there is a worse back-to-back night stretch in the entire NBA this season than what the Warriors just went through. And not any team, like take the Washington Wizards, take the Sacramento Kings, take the Utah Jazz out of this, because those are just some of the most pitiful basketball teams in the NBA, specifically the Wizards and the Kings. The Kings, I don't think I mean, they wrote a lot of players out for the season. They're probably leaning into it now. They're going to have the worst record in the NBA. But that was a pretty ethical tank. They just were terrible from the jump, not like they were actively trying to lose early. They were trying to win, and they were so bad. Take those teams out of it. Stakes have to matter, and the Warriors have really high stakes right now. Whether or not you believe in their ability to win a play-in or win 2 play-in games and go to a postseason series and maybe take a game versus the Spurs or the Thunder, whether or not you believe in that, the Warriors have a lot to play for. There are a lot of stakes for this Warrior team right now. So when you consider the stakes that a team is facing, you consider the portion of the season that we're in, you consider what's happening around the Warriors in the standings, and you consider the opponents in Utah last night and at home to Chicago tonight, maybe the worst 2-night stretch for a basketball team in the NBA this season. It's hard to find one worse than this. And now the Warriors are below 500 for the first time since they won on December 20th to improve to 1 game under 500. And then they won a couple of days later on December 22nd to get to 500. That was the last time they were below 500. They woke up on the morning of December 22nd. They were below 500. That was the last time they were below 500. They are now below 500 at 32-33, and they're 9th in the Western Conference. And you look at the schedule remaining for the Clippers and the Warriors, I'm just going to tell you, in terms of opponents left, it favors the Clippers big time. The Warriors, in my estimation, should not be the favorite to be the 8th seed in the West. The Clippers should be the favorite to be the 8th seed in the West, and that's a big deal because if the Warriors finish as the 9 or the 10, and they will be no lower than 10, they have to win 2 play-in games in order to go to a postseason series. And if you are the 9 or the 10 and you happen to win both of those play-in games, the only playoff seed you can get is the 8th seed, which would mean you're likely taking on the defending champion OKC Thunder. And by the time the postseason comes around, they will in all likelihood be healthy, and they'll be led by the guy who would have my vote for a second straight year, SGA, as the MVP of the season for a second straight year. So it does not look great for the Warriors right now, and the challenges are now lining up. These last 2 games was their opportunity to stack a couple of wins, to be 34-31 instead of 32-33 in preparation for tough games ahead. But up next, Friday, Minnesota at home. Ant Edwards, they lost tonight to the Lakers, but they've been playing good basketball of late. They're in a fight for their top 6 lives as well in the Western Conference and for positioning like 3 or 4 through 6 in the West. So they're going hard for it at this stage of the season. That's coming up on Friday. Then a 6-game trip, which includes at the Knicks, at the Celtics, and at the Pistons. You could even throw in at the Hawks in there as well. Not going to be an easy game. The Hawks tonight just won their 7th consecutive game. And oh, by the way, Kuminga did not play again. The updated tally, by the way, games played for their new team: Porzingis 3, Kuminga 3, presented without comment. Just going to leave that there. The Hawks, though, have not missed a beat. They've won 7 consecutive games. You have later on this month in Denver, early April, you have San Antonio, San Antonio, Cleveland, and Houston. Really tough games coming up for the Warriors. Before they play again, though, they're going to get an update on Steph Curry. The Warriors will release that at some point tomorrow. If it happens from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., we'll keep you updated, of course, on 95.7 The Game. I would imagine sometime in the afternoon, the update from the Warriors, but we shall see. Just keep it locked to 95.7 The Game for the Steph Curry injury update. Maybe it's good news, and maybe they say Steph going to return as early as Friday. I would bet a return over the upcoming road trip is more likely. But again, just keep it locked to 95.7 The Game, and we'll give you the update whenever we get it from the Warriors. That is coming tomorrow. If you're a Warrior fan, just fingers crossed that it's good news. The Warriors did give a Moses Moody injury update today. They say he's been making good progress and that he has began on-court work, and then they're going to give another update for Moses Moody later on this week, so we'll see what that means for Moses Moody as well. He missed his 4th consecutive game tonight with a wrist sprain. I would imagine Porzingis good to go Friday. I would imagine Seth Curry good to go on Friday. You would hope Melton is back. I would expect him to be able to play. Horford, of course, no back-to-back there. He should be able to play. Maybe it is a healthier Warrior roster come Friday versus Minnesota, and they're going to need it because now the schedule really turns, and there's a lot of really good teams up ahead for the Warriors, who are now below 500 at 32 and 33. All right. That's going to do it for Warriors Wrap-Up tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks to all you guys on the YouTube chat for keeping the comments flowing. I always love interacting with you guys there. Thanks as well to the text line, the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line, and for those of you that called in as well at 888-957-9570. Thanks as well to Cam Williams for handling double duty back in our studios in downtown San Francisco. Appreciate your work as always, Cam. My name is Mark Randy, signing off as the Dubs fall once again 130 to 124. They're next in action on Friday, welcoming Ant Edwards and the T-Wolves into Chase Center. Until then, my name is Mark Randy, signing off. We'll talk next time on 95.7 The Game.
Presenting a Gain Flings love story. Dear love of my life, we were on the